told me on several occasions, and he's told my wife back there the same, you just don't like cops. I said, you're right, I don't like crooked cops. I have no problem with the good ones. They take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. As long as they're doing that, they have my 100% support. But then to move along, to tell you another one, we had this gentleman in our community, a well-known gentleman, who announced to run for county commissioner. And you know who it was, Keenan Ertel. And Keenan announced to run for commissioner, and the day after he announced, I said, can I come talk to you? And he said, sure, come on by. And I sat down across from him, and he owns a funeral home in town. Sat down across from him at the desk, and I said, how much do you know about the Constitution, Keenan? And he went, I'm not sure. And I said, well, you realize that's the only thing you take an oath to. You don't take an oath to the Home Builders Association. You don't take an oath to the Cattlemen's Association. You don't take an oath to the bankers in town. You don't take an oath to the people. You take an oath to the Constitution. And how can you do your job if you don't know what you're taking an oath to? And he said, But you got to start with a man of character. You've got to start with a man of character. Keenan said, we've got a basement here in the funeral home. I said, yeah, I know, and I don't want to be in there yet. And he said, no, that's not the part I'm talking about. He said, we've got a part down there where we let people view different caskets and where we have a family meeting center. And I said, yeah, I'm still a little bit apprehensive. He says, would you agree to come by and teach the Constitution to me and my family? And I said, you better believe it. And he said, what do you charge? I said, nothing. Nothing. And he said, okay. So, and you can testify, this commissioner comes to my Constitution classes in Cortez. He comes to my Constitution classes in Dove Creek. He comes to my Constitution classes in Bayfield. And he wants to know what's in this Constitution, and he's standing up for us as a county commissioner. He's standing up against the BLM and the Forest Service in these meetings, and he's saying, oh, no, you can't do that. And it's great to see this. And then we had another guy announce that, well, let me tell you this. Keenan ran as a Republican. The Republican Party did everything they could to defeat him. Because he wasn't a member of the Good Old Boy Club.
That's right.
And they did everything they could to defeat him. So now he's doing a heck of a job. We ended up with this guy we call our little pit bull. His name's Larry Don Supla. And Larry Don's family has a long history in our part of the woods, going back through both grandfathers. And Larry Don decided he wanted to run for commissioner, but he wanted to run as an independent. And when I went to see him, I asked him why. He said, I got one grandpa that was Republican, I got one grandpa that was a Democrat. I love both of them. I'm not going to be either one. And I said, hallelujah. He said, but an independent has never been elected in Montezuma County. Well, I didn't tell him about the bank robbery thing, but I said, it can be done. And he said, you think so? And I said, yes. How much do you know about the Constitution? Not much. He comes to my Constitution classes whenever time permits. He's in the cattle business and he does a lot of other stuff. But he was elected as the first independent in the history of Montezuma County. And we just got out and worked with the constitutional folks, talked to them, they talked to the friends they knew, and we got him elected. Yes, ma'am?
So I'm wondering, we're
to eat right now, but can
Eat.
I ask a really important question?
Yes, ma'am?
Let's go back to the judge not allowing the district attorney, he said he couldn't convene another grand jury. Where did he get his authority for that?
He quoted a couple of Colorado Supreme Court things that we have disassembled. I don't want to really get into that yet because it's pending,
Okay,
and I don't want anything to ever flavor Will getting his grand jury again.
Right,
So-
but I'm just wondering if he, is his authority from the Supreme Court, or
He
where did
said,
he got it from?
well, basically, and it was based on cost. He said that grand jury cost us $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Bank.
But he said it cost the county $5,000. And this is really critical. We need to let this remain in the process because we're right.
Right.
We're right, and we can prove it with Supreme Court decision because there's Colorado Supreme Court decision, which I looked up. Our DA is busy. I said, I'll research this for you. I'll find what I can. And we found several cases, especially where they said a grand jury is necessary when it comes to public corruption. Well, we've got 2 public corruption cases that need to be heard by somebody.
Yeah.
And so I think we've nailed him into a corner. I don't think he can get out of that. Now, a grand jury shouldn't look at cases that have already been indicted unless there's a question on them. And he based part of that on that. Well, what are you going to look at? You're going to look at cases where the person's already been indicted? Well, you want the grand jury to pass the indictment. So he's right on that. You know, if the case has already been indicted, we had this lady who stabbed her boyfriend to death about 17 times. Of course, she's nuttier than a fruitcake. But, and anyway, she stabbed him. Well, she's already been indicted. You don't need a grand jury to look at that.
Right.
I mean, the police have done their work and the other stuff. The thing you need a grand jury to look into are things that the police don't have the resources to do,
Right.
or that they don't have the time or inclination to do. So that's where you really need your grand jury. So if you focus them in that direction, and to be honest, and I told Will, I said, I think you made a couple of mistakes. You had a couple of people that was already indicted and you took it to the grand jury anyway. So you've given the judge a foothold, but we can beat that. We can go back to these Supreme Court decisions and we can cover that. So I don't think there was anything sinister about the judge saying,
Okay.
I don't think it's sinister at all. But I think it's a procedural thing we have to deal with.
Yeah. Could we,
Okay, why don't everybody just line up and get their food and come back to the table, and anybody that wants to continue.
Conversation will continue.
Thank you.
I don't know how.
Hurt your voice.